This dates back to August of 2018. My parents had decided to move from Round Rock, which is north of Austin. This happened to be a perfect timing for my younger sister and I because I was transferring out of community college to a university in San Antonio while she was graduating high school and going to go to college in San Antonio as well. It was a beautiful house. It was a 2-story house, all brick, in a gated community, which was like super fancy to us. About 6 months into living there, things really started to pick up. Instantly, when you walk in, it had like an eerie feeling to it. The first instance is I was in my restroom. You could see the hallway, and it was a pretty long hallway connecting all 3 rooms. I saw my sister walk out, and I said something along the lines like, "Hey, like, what are you doing?" Earlier, my parents said they were going to go grocery shopping, and I thought she was going with them, but she didn't reply back to me. I started saying like, "What are you doing?" But I couldn't see her. So then I started looking all around the house. And when I went outside to go check if like the car was gone, and I saw I was home alone, which just really freaked me out. So I kind of brushed off a little bit, thinking, okay, maybe I'm just seeing things, tricking my mind. A few months passed by again. So now, March of 2019, it just became super bad actually. My mom got really sick, which prevented her from working, so she had to stay home full time. My room happened to be like right above my parents' room. And so my mom was in her room a lot, and she would tell me sometimes, like, or text me at least, and be like, "Hey, are you home?" I'd be like, "No, I'm in class or doing something." And she would tell me like she would hear footsteps in my room. It sounded like someone was walking around. And she didn't think too much about it. She just thought maybe, yeah, like I'm just so bored, I'm starting to hear things. And because of that, my dad got my mom a small puppy. He was a month old. At that age, he was already starting to bark at the bottom of the stairs. He was terrified to go up the stairs, actually. He will only go upstairs if one of us were with him. Already, that was giving me a sign like, is something really here in this house? The attic was right above our room. Oddly enough, it was like in this hallway, there was an entrance to the attic. And shortly after that, my sister starts to smell something super bad. And my dad goes, checks it out. He comes back down, and it's a dead rat. But also, he finds this box. And in that box was like a weird book of some sort, which had like carvings into it. You could tell there were blood marks on it. You could tell there were maybe a piece of bone in there as well. My mom's kind of superstitious, and she was already like, do not open that. Do not touch it. Just go ahead and burn it. But my dad doesn't believe in any of this, so he said, no, I'm going to open it. He opens the book, and everything was in Latin writing and like images and just stuff you see kind of in a witch book. And so it freaked me out and my sister. And my dad was like, okay, mom is right. Let's burn it. So we go in the backyard, and my dad just starts a fire and throws that whole box in there. It almost looked like the flames were starting to turn blue, like it wasn't from this world almost. After he did that, it kind of made the spirits mad a bit. More time passes. One night, I was in my room and I could hear what I thought was my sister calling my name. And I said, "Hey, like, what's up?" And she didn't say anything back. I go downstairs because I was like, okay, I heard her literally say my name. And not just my name, I have a family nickname, and it's only she calls me that. And so I go downstairs, I'm probably getting a snack, and she comes to the front door, and I say, "Hey, like, didn't you just call my name?" She goes, "No, I was outside the whole time." And that just freaked me out even more. That's when I really told her what was going on, because not only did I hear my name, but I saw her months before. So I tell her what was happening, and she just kind of looks at me blankly, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm really going crazy. Well, my parents overhear us in the kitchen talking about this, and that's when my dad says, "Oh, we've been hearing things too." They start to tell me that downstairs, when they go to bed, they always close the door, but they kind of stay up a little bit and watch TV. Say they've been hearing like footsteps in the kitchen, and they assumed it was us. Well, one night they got scared because they had the door closed, and they hear big footsteps like outside their door, and it's like a small mini hall that you kind of have to turn into to get to their room. They thought it was one of us, and so they start calling out our names. We didn't say anything back, but they could hear it breathing. Well, he got up, opened the door, nothing. And it scared both my mom and my dad. While all this was going on, we were all just kind of keeping this inside with each other, because I think none of us wanted to believe something was going on. So to hear that my mom and my dad and my sister, that we all been hearing or seeing something, it was just spooky. My parents ended up reaching out to the previous owners of the house, because technically my parents were renting out the house, and the owners, for whatever reason, didn't want to live there anymore. Well, my parents just reached out. We're like, "Hey, like, this stuff has been going on. Has stuff like this been happening to you all when y'all lived here?" And they said, "Oh no, nothing like that happened. But I think you should know this. The man had his mother living with him, and she happened to die in that house, in the room that I was sleeping in." When I find out this information, I think I turned cold. It just confirmed all the things that were happening around in that house to me, especially more towards me, because I feel like I was hearing the most and seeing the most things compared to my family. They also admitted that it was just her upstairs most of the time, so they didn't know what she was up to, but they were here late at night, walking around, talking, and they assumed that she was on the phone. One night, my sister said she was in her room and she heard what sounded like me going through my stuff in my room. Like I said, we shared a wall together for our rooms, so if I was going through my drawers or even turning on the TV, she could hear it. And she kind of just says like, "Hey," starts talking to me, but I never say anything back. Maybe 5 minutes pass, and she hears more noise coming from my room again. So she really gets up and sees that my door is closed, and was like, "Hey, like, I'm coming in to check on you." When she opens the door, she sees one of my drawers pull open right when she opens the door. But when she sees the drawer pull open, she realizes no one's in my room. There was only one instance where we all saw something at the same time. October of 2019, kid you not, it was Halloween night. We just got done trick-or-treating, and the front door actually was this glass type front door where you could kind of see through it. So we had the front porch light on because we had just got done trick-or-treating. My mom's in the living room. My dad was actually out that night, so he wasn't home. But my sister and I were in the dining table, and if you lean backwards from your chair in the dining table, you could see towards the front door. We hear the doorbell go off, and of course, in a two-story house, that doorbell ring echoes everywhere. I lean back towards my chair from the dining table, and I see this tall figure. It's Halloween night, so of course, costumes. And I was thinking to myself, maybe some teenagers are at the door, or a teenager, because I could tell it was one person. So I grabbed the candy bowl. They ring the doorbell again. At this point, my mom and my sister are behind me, kind of telling me to be careful because it was late, but also just get the candy out. As soon as I open the door, nothing. The shadow's gone. No one's at the front door. That freaked my mom out the most because she's always just heard footsteps and heard things, but she never actually saw anything. So when she saw that no one showed up at the door after we saw a shadow, we could tell someone was at the front door. That just freaked her out even more. I'm in my room one night. I go to bed like normal, but except this time, my mom's dog, he decides to sleep with me, and he never sleeps with me, but he decided to. We go to bed, and I always sleep with my door open, but in the hallway, since it was such a long hallway, we had a night light, so it lit up the whole hallway. I could see if someone was walking in the hallway due to the shadows and the passing of the night light. We're in bed, I'm dead asleep, and all of a sudden, I hear our dog start to growl. I've never heard him growl before, but he starts to growl. It wakes me up, and I look over at him what is he growling at? And I see that his head is towards my door. So I look to my right, and I see in the corner of my eye, there are these long fingers with razor sharp nails. I can see it through the shadow. And as it moves its fingers, it starts to crackle. It just starts to make bones popping noise. I realize its fingers and its whole hand is starting to cover the light switch, which is the only light switch I have to put the light on. I didn't have a lamp in that room. I just freaked out. I didn't know what to do. Instantly, I'm just thinking to myself, whatever this is, this demon, this monster, it literally wants me in the dark. It's covering the light switch. I just got up and I decided I'm going to touch it. I'm going to touch it because I need to turn this light switch on. And I did. And when I touched it, it felt scaly and very hard. And it kind of scratched me a bit. Light switch goes on. I'm hysterical. My mom's dog runs out of my room barking, going down the stairs. I'm screaming towards my sister, and I'm waking her up please wake up. You need to hear what I'm about to say next because I'm not lying. She's listening to me. She's telling me to calm down, everything's okay. You're okay. I could tell she didn't believe me fully, but when I showed her the cut on my finger, I think that's when she kind of realized, okay, yeah, you're probably right. My parents come upstairs. They're like, what's going on? I tell them the same story. And I think they really believed me because I was just so hysterical that I was not going to sleep in that room for the rest of the night. When I finally slept in that room, if anything, it just made it worse for me because I was having constant nightmares and terrors every night. I would wake up screaming of doing evil things to my family, which I've never had experienced that before. To this day, that really still shakes me to my core, truly, because I have had previous experiences in the past. I am the most sensitive in my family to hear, see, feel things, but I've never actually had anything touch me or me touch it. that was like the pushing factor for me to get out of the house. I had a feeling this entity was just going to continue to taunt me and play with me because it knew I was the one that could sense, see, and hear them the most out of the rest of my family. So I moved out. After that, my parents and my sister both say like they haven't heard much or seen anything after that. I was so scared that this entity followed me, really, because I touched it, so I didn't know what was going to happen. Thankfully, I have not seen or heard anything since, but I definitely do get nightmares about it still. Me back in that room, me just being so still, shaken to my core, feeling I can't move. January 2020, my family decides to move out. And on the last day, my mom, she usually likes to take video recordings of the house empty, just like for her records and just to be like, oh, this was a fun memory. So my dad takes the video instead. He's taking the video around the house. He's going upstairs and he hits my room. And he says, as soon as he hits my room, the phone goes dead. It was fully charged. It was working properly and it just died all of a sudden. And when it died at the same time, he heard my mom call his name. He goes out, goes downstairs, doesn't see her, doesn't even see my sister. So he calls them and he realizes he's home alone as well because they're gone. He gathered whatever he had left and took out of the house. He waited outside. He did not want to wait inside the house anymore because that just freaked him out more. That was the last of it. We don't know what happened, who moved in after us. We told the couple that whoever they rent the house to next to like please advise someone did pass away because things did happen. That was a spooky house I've ever lived in, and I'll definitely remember it. I definitely do sleep with night lights on. I do believe now that I am a stronger spiritual person. I do pray more. I got more into church after that, which helps me in my belief system, but I definitely get more hesitant when I do sense something because I don't know if it's that same thing that's following me or if it's something new completely. And I hope that I never experience anything like that again.